Hi everybody, Leafy Concern again. Quick video about my Paul Muldoon collection. Hopefully it's a cool place to start. Like if I get other Muldoon books, of course, there can just be videos about those. There can be videos about anything because it's just like YouTube. There's not really like censorship for boring stuff like this. I can just do whatever I want, you know what I mean? So anyway, so today you get a short video about my Paul Muldoon collection. So let's see, how am I gonna arrange this? So I'm gonna arrange them in order of, wait, Maggot was missing from the stack. So I've arranged the stack in like chronological order of when I got the book out of the world and put it in the library. So Maggot was a book that my high school, one of my favorite poetry teachers in high school, I never really had a poetry teacher in high school, but he taught poetry. And I remember he liked this particular book by Paul Muldoon. And I think it might have gone a little over my head at the time, but I found a copy, I forget where, and liked the sonnets at the start. And I didn't understand the gist of his like ending poems, that the form that I think Michael Robbins just calls a Muldoon, where, you know, all of the endings rhyme like book to book. But I enjoyed the book, and I liked being able to like kind of investigate this writer that was one of like basically the only poet that I knew impressed this teacher outside of like Joni Mitchell and Tom Waits. Maggot. And it also has like a great name. It had a cool cover, a cool jacket. I don't understand why I got rid of it. I think I used to just get rid of jackets on the assumption that jackets would just get destroyed anyway. Anyway, but this is a great book. Kind of along those lines, when a copy of Horse Latitudes showed up in Chicago that was like on sale, I think it might have been actually remaindered. Not remaindered, eh? Not remaindered at all. Then I got it, and I remember it had a very ugly jacket compared to Maggot, which came out 4 years after Horse Latitudes. And I liked Horse Latitudes' place as being between like Moy Sand And Gravel, which was like a very prize-winning one, and this Maggot one that I knew about, which is a very thick volume. Horse Latitudes seemed very approachable. The brown of it seemed very approachable, and I remember enjoying the book. I'd like to actually reread it and give a little bit more of thoughts on it. This part, yeah, these like haiku or whatever are really great. What's the title of this poem? Do you mind if we just like flip back and see what the title is? 90 Instant Messages to Tom Moore, who I don't know who that is, but it's really like classic Muldoon, jam jams and whim whams where the whalers still heave to for a gammy gam, that kind of stuff. And then Moy Sand And Gravel, which I got to just kind of keep pace with a friend of mine that I gave a copy of Moy Sand And Gravel to. I hadn't actually read it at that time. But I have it, and I gotta say I haven't looked into it very much. This is actually a remaindered copy. Yeah, the red is a little bit more textured than like the board covering on the other books. And there's also this like PM insignia, which like seems like a font that matches more like the fonts that were used in the designs of Muldoon books that came out around the time of the selected poems of like 1995 or whatever, and like Matica Mystery. But anyway, more to come on this. I need to give a look. Somebody sent me today a list of a bunch of like non-existent words, and I was like, I bet Paul Muldoon knows them all and has used them all in Moy Sand And Gravel. Now this is something that I got because I started to kind of realize that I wanted to read more Paul Muldoon. Like I wanted to have something that wasn't just one of these three like canonical collections. I wanted to kind of delve a little bit deeper, and so I found this Prince of the Quotidian online. The press is Gallery Books, and you can still get a copy of this, I think, and it's a beautiful package. This was actually the first book I ever bought from England, that came to me from England, and like later I would get like my J.H. Prynne books from there. And those are memory working impromptus, Enchanter's Nightshade, and Otherhood Imminent Profusion, on which more later, because, you know, fixations are fixations, and sometimes you're gonna see the same book twice in these videos. But the concept of this book is very cool. It's like, it is a January journal, the back says. It's like writing a poem every day. I don't think that there are 31 poems in the book, I'm pretty sure. Or maybe there are. Maybe there are more than I thought. 41 pages. I underlined some things in this. I remember reading it in the car, and it was very inspiring. Like the model of discipline, the model of like, you know, enjoyable discipline that it shows. I also started, I think, maybe around the time that I started reading this, like grouping my like kind of diaries into like documents for different months. I don't know why you would care about that detail, but this is a nice book. And it has these nice kind of end papers, and I highly recommend giving the book and press a look. I'm gonna put this back with these other ones. Now this one's cool. This is one that you're gonna find a lot in used places in Madison because it's an opera that was commissioned for Madison. I haven't read the thing. I mean, of course, I've looked at the front enough to see where it says, "So much so that even now I flinch at the very thought of a stone taking wing from Madison, Wisconsin." You know, and it was commissioned by the Madison Arts Council or whatever, and it has this nice, like, you know, Faber edition, like if you've ever seen that book of light verse that Ted Hughes organized or whatever. So if you happen to find yourself in Madison, you are going to run across a couple of these in used bookstores. And I just picked it up because it was $2 at Room of One's Own, which brings us to Sadie and the Sadists. So this is like, I got this for like, this was like an inexpensive book. It's an intersection of a few things I like. Like I like Paul Muldoon. I was getting really into rhyming poetry at this time. At the time I bought the book. Like, what am I doing? Like, the time I bought this, like, I don't know, I strolled into the Sem Co-op and they had it, and it was like cheap. It was like, what, like 10 bucks or something? Yeah, 10 bucks like that, a special edition pamphlet. And it's also song lyrics, and I really like song lyrics. And the book itself didn't seem like unreadable, like nice, like font and whatever, you know. Like just seemed really readable and like well laid out. Oh, and also it's signed by Paul Muldoon. It was like signed. So I was just like, I gotta get this. And yeah, it's a lot of good lyrics in the style of like Leonard Cohen, about whom I'm sure Paul Muldoon has many good thoughts. But anyway, you know, pick this one up if you can find a copy and you like rhyme. A bit from Down With That. You take the bed, I'll take the chaise. You take the arrowheads, I the polonaise. You take the Raleigh with the dodgy derailleur. You take Macaulay, I'll take Mailer. You take the poisoned pup, I the fat cat. We're breaking up and I'm down with that. Down with that. I'm really down with that. We're breaking up and I'm down with that. You can imagine a gruff Leonard Cohen saying that and being like, these are fine lyrics that I wrote for this album that I'm putting out in 1977 or something. All right, so yeah, that was a quick look at all the books by Paul Muldoon that I have. So hopefully that was of interest. You know, it's just like, sometimes you organize these little collections and they might be worth like taking a look at. Probably will add more to that because Muldoon is like an extremely admirable writer. He strikes a lot of awe into me. What's that phrase? Awestruck. It strikes awe into me. Strikes fear into me, honestly. I'm like, how the hell